Welcome to Culture on I-24 News. I'm Oded Grober. Thank you for joining me. Today on our show, we'll talk about the world of science fiction and fantasy cinema. And we'll meet jazz guitarist Mike Stern at the Ashdod Super Jazz Festival. These days, the Utopia International Festival for Science Fiction and Fantasy Film is taking place in Tel Aviv. With me in the studio are two of the festival's guests, Anik Manert from Screen Division and Lindsay Peters of Fantasia Film Festival, who both deal with programming and acquisition of genre films. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So what does it mean, programming acquisition? What exactly do you do? Let's start with Lindsay.
Sure. Well, Fantasia is the largest genre film festival in North America. We select approximately 160 films per year. And within Fantasia, I also run the Frontier co-production market, which is for films in development at the script stage.
I see. Which is maybe where Anik fits in.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we do collaborate. We've been collaborating together for the last 2 years, I think. What I do is I'm actually a acquisition consultant. I run through festivals.
For festivals?
No,
festivals are your clients, or?
Well, I do programming for one festival in Austin, and and then I work with distributors and sales agents around the world. So what I do is I go to festivals, to markets. I'm basically a film scout, and I'm being paid to watch films.
Terrible. I'm obviously in the wrong line of work.
Absolutely.
But so, okay, and you both specialize in fantastic cinema, what we call fantastic cinema. What is fantastic cinema exactly? What are the definitions? Where does it end and where does it begin?
Well, I mean, the basic definition would be films that are considered horror, sci-fi, fantasy, action, thriller. I mean, that's basically what it encompasses.
Okay, everything but drama and comedy, as far as I could tell there. Almost.
Yeah, well, you could have drama or a comedy then suddenly that has exactly, or that has genre elements that make them maybe weird, or and then suddenly it switches into the genre.
Yeah. When you go out scouting for a film, what do you look for? What's the thing that grabs you?
Well, I'm looking for originality, quite honestly. There have been so many waves of genre. Like we had the vampire wave, we had the zombie wave. We now have the creature features coming back, the films with monsters. Science fiction is coming back as well. And within those genres, what I look for is something that I haven't seen yet, or that maybe also gets to scare me. If I get scared during a film, then they manage to actually exactly. Yeah. So I'll just point that out on my list of films to either program or to submit to the people I work with.
Lindsay, what's the thing that works for you?
Yeah, I mean, at Fantasia, I mean, our audiences are very passionate, very dedicated, very loyal. So at Fantasia, I mean, we've kind of just started programming in a way to that's tailored to their interests. Yeah. So really anything kind of off the wall or quirky, we've now started to include many films that don't necessarily tick all the genre boxes neatly, and so there's a really interesting overlap that's happening more and more between the genre world and the art house world.
It is really tricky because these diehard fans, they're fans of the thing that they already saw and loved and liked. So they obviously want more of that. But on the other hand, you want to bring something new to the table. You want to bring something that they haven't seen before that they'll like just as much. It's not an easy job.
No, not at all.
All right. Now, a thing that we're seeing in recent years is that these genre films are also the biggest films on the market. The biggest box office hits are fantastic cinemas, and it's also this niche market at the same time. How did that happen? How does that work?
Well, I think it's the fact that you can for blockbusters as well, you can have a genre film that has a very low budget that does very well, such as Paranormal Activity was a huge success, and so now that's just being replicated in many different ways,
right.
And continues to do very, very well at the box office internationally.
Yeah. But the success of these huge blockbusters, is that something that we could foresee?
Well, I mean, genre film has been around for more than 80 years. Universal Studios had the monster series with the Wolfman, the Mummy. The Germans had their series in the 20s. So they always knew genre was something that people were interested in. I think that at some point, maybe during the 70s, 60s, 70s, it was basically put aside as being something that a niche, basically, that only a few people wanted to see, and that's where they were wrong. And then 10 years ago, the studios saw that it was a mistake, and they came back with, I think, was one of the first ones was 28 Days Later, which was produced by Fox Atomic, which was a studio specifically built up for genre films. That didn't last very long. It lasted for 5 years or so. But then recently we had World War Z with Brad Pitt.
Which didn't do as well.
No, but I mean, they know, so they try, Dr. Frankenstein, Victor Frankenstein just came out.
Yeah.
So they still, they keep trying. And once in a while they have a big hit. But it's always been around.
On a more personal note, why do you love genre film?
Well, my first contact with film was actually with genre. I was 8 years old, and the first film I saw really that I can remember was a horror film called Evil Dead. And I couldn't sleep.
Quite the beginning.
Yes, it took me about. I couldn't sleep for 2 nights. Like 2 days was really horrible. And but then something happened where I was like, I need more. I want more of that scare. And I went back to it, and I kept going back to it. So I guess I like to be scared, but in an environment that is safe.
Yeah.
It's just difficult to explain.
Well, I think it's the genre community is so strong and really, really supportive, and it's great to be here at Utopia as well, and we do the circuit together, and it's a very supportive, self-contained community.
What, if you already mentioned Utopia, what Israeli film has struck you recently within the genre?
Oh, well, Big Bad Wolves, absolutely. I mean, that was a huge film at Fantasia. It won Best Film, Best Screenplay 2 years ago. And it was one of the best screenings we've ever had at Fantasia. Wow. It just blew the roof off.
Anik?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the thing with Israeli film, that's why also I'm very excited to be here, because usually films, whatever the country, you have a type of films that come out of the borders and some that don't cross the borders.
Right.
And so I'm really excited to be here and to be able to look at the films here that might not cross the borders. But definitely, Big Bad Wolves, there was Rabbit, the film before.
I can't end this interview without asking you where are you going to be on the 16th when this new Star Wars hits theaters?
I will not be in the theater.
You will not be in the theater? Why not?
I'm just going to wait patiently because I was very disappointed. Episode 1, I flew over for 4 days only to Los Angeles just to see the film, and it was just such a disappointment that I don't want to be excited about it. I hope it'll be better than I think it is. But I'll just go 3 weeks after when the hype is over, and that's fine.
Yeah.
No, I'm very excited, but I couldn't get tickets, so I had to wait a few days. So I'm going on the 21st.
All right, you're already at the ticket, and then tell Anik how it was. Maybe Lindsay, Anik, thanks so much for coming in. Enjoy your stay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, the Super Jazz Festival in Ashdod is an annual jazz event organized by pianist and Ashdod resident Leonid Ptashka. Every year, famous musicians from all over the world join him in the southern city. Daniel Campos and Ran Schneck attended the rehearsal of American guitarist Mike Stern. Here is the story of their Super Jazz encounter.
Ashdod, the 6th largest city in Israel, best known for its Mediterranean beaches and its port. But in the past 7 years, the city has also become known for its Super Jazz International Festival, founded by virtuoso pianist Leonid Ptashka. Born in Azerbaijan, Ptashka arrived in Israel in 1990. touring and performing around the world since the age of 6. Renowned for his classical training, speed, and original jazz arrangements, the Russian was to settle in Ashdod in 1992. His arrival brought to the city a musical identity it had lacked.
In the Soviet Union, I had connection to some of the greatest musicians in the world. Who are played with in the United States, Paris, Italy. Where not? So I decided to get at least a minimal budget for me to conduct something beyond a concert in the city where I live.
And that's how Super Jazz was born. The festival has been taking place for 7 consecutive years, hosting some of the greatest names in jazz. Joe Lovano, Benny Golson, and Randy Brecker have all performed here. This year's special guest was legendary guitar player Mike Stern. Known for his solo career in jazz and for his work as a former guitarist of Blood, Sweat and Tears.
A bunch in Israel, the first time here in Ashdod. I can't even pronounce it. Am I pronouncing it correctly? And so this is special for me. And it's a cool environment with musical environment with all these guys. It's fresh.
Stern and Patashka had never played together, but their understanding of mutual musical language enabled them to construct and deconstruct jazz standards.
He's got a lot of stuff going on, classically trained and loves jazz and plays beautifully. So it's fun. It's really fun, and we have never played together before. And I liked the vibe right away because he just said, "What should we play?"
And the relaxed approach by the artistic director and pianist makes the experience even more remarkable than previous performances in the Holy Land.
Was a wonderful friend of mine, Jim Hall, amazing guitar player, told me one time he was in Italy and he couldn't speak Italian, and the person that he was playing with, the other guitar player, couldn't speak English at all, but they had the musical language of standards. We didn't rehearse at all. This was it.
Beyond an average festival, Patashka is not the kind of artistic director who sits on the side and takes care of the signing of the contracts with the artist. This is a friendship festival in which the musicians are hosted by the free-spirited and flamboyant pianist. That's what makes this festival so authentic.
It's even fresher when you don't even know what's going to happen next. So in this case, that's what's happening. We kind of know, but we don't really know, so we'll see what happens. It's fun.
Super Jazz. Now, we're almost out of time, but before we go, here's our cultural recommendation for today.
Los Modernos is a unique exhibition which offers an overview of the development of modern European and Mexican art in the 20th century, displaying a selection of over 140 works from both the collection of the Musée des Beaux-Arts de Lyon, France, and the Mexican Museo Nacional de Arte, along with the participation of other important collections. 9 themes, 9 aesthetic discourses, surrealist and abstract art. Picasso, Diego Rivera, Roberto Montenegro, the artistic borders between Mexico and Europe are blurred through colorful diversity of works, presenting modernism as a unique period in art with no geographical boundaries.
That's it from us for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, and the next day, and the next, and the next. And in preparation for the release of Star Wars: The Force Awakens just a few days from now, comedy duo Tiny Muscles created their version of the song What Are You Doing on New Year's Eve? They're calling it What Are You Doing on Star Wars Eve? Here it is. Enjoy.
Or will you be dressed like Boba Fett?